Howdy readers, I'm Jason. This is Chapter and Verse, and I am coming to you today with a tag. Now, if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I don't do tags very often anymore. But occasionally, somebody will come up with an original tag that will kind of catch fire and start making the rounds. And if it's a tag that I really like, I find myself watching a lot of people's versions of it. A week and a half ago, something like that, Steve Donahue created the Books and Life tag, the Books and Life tag, excuse me. And I really dig it, and I've watched probably 4 versions of it, I would say. Now my wife, Kelly, whose channel is Books I'm Not Reading, she has done it. And in retrospect, it probably would have been good for us to do the tag together. But yeah, it didn't occur to either of us. Now, I'll say right up front that I have not watched her version of this, so I have no idea what answers she gives, no idea how closely they're going to align with mine or be different from mine. But yeah, so I suppose I apologize in advance if I'm basically saying the same things that she says in her video. Let's tackle these prompts. Number 1, on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being a normal person, and 10 being the late Harold Bloom, how much are books and reading a part of your life? And I would say, it's funny, some of the versions of this I've been seeing, people are giving numbers that are lower than I thought they would give. 5 or a 6, something like this. And these are people who actually read more than I do. But I would actually put my own number closer to a 7, I think. So if the point is to investigate or get to the bottom of, how does Steve put it here? How much are books and reading a part of your life? I'm constantly thinking about books. Everything I do when I'm driving around, etc. So I'm thinking about what I'm reading, thinking about what I want to read, thinking about editions that I've seen, and books populate my brain. Kelly has talked to me in the past about how, with her favorite novels in particular, when she's done reading it, it's still kind of constantly playing in her mind. Like, the story's always going on. And I certainly feel that too with a lot of books. So I would say that the books are just kind of omnipresent for me. Number 2, where does your personal library stand right now in relation to the rest of your life? Do you have more books now than you ever have? Fewer? How has your library changed? I would say we probably have the most books that we've ever had right now. We try to keep the number around 1,000. So if there are some that we want to buy, then we'll get rid of some. I hate the word unhaul, just so you know. I'm not sure why that word caught on. I understand the word haul, but unhaul is just not a thing. But as far as how has the library changed, well, yeah, one of the things that Kelly did mention to me that she had brought up in her video, at least I think she had brought it up in her video, was that when we got together, we had a number of duplicates, and we actually kept a couple of the duplicates. So we have 2 copies of Letters to a Young Poet by Rilke, because I think it had been given to me by an old instructor of mine, and I had given it to Kelly. And so both copies have inscriptions that are important to us. And then we have 2 copies of Turtle Island, one of which has, I think, an inscription to Kelly from me, but then the other one is actually signed by Gary Snyder. So there was some culling involved as far as duplicates were concerned. But going even further back, my bookcase, our tallest bookcase, which is a bookcase that my father built for me when I was, 18 or 19 years old. I'll try to insert a picture of it here. But, when he first built that bookcase for me, it was weird. It was like he could anticipate that I was going to be a serious reader. And the shelves are removable, right? You can kind of adjust them around within the shell of the bookcase. And when I first got the bookcase and started buying books, I actually took the bottom two shelves out, and I used to have these really tall speakers for my stereo, and I put the speakers in the bookcase because I didn't want all of that kind of empty space. I only was using at that point the top two shelves, and I think I probably only had 3/4 of one shelf filled, and then there was a lot of knickknacks and things, and little ceramic statues, the kind of stuff that we have kind of decorating our bookcases right now anyway. But that was the beginning for me. I mean, I bought books. I owned books when I was a kid, and even like early in my teen years. But I didn't really start kind of amassing a library or beginning to think about collecting books or buying books and having more books on my shelves than I had read until my dad built me this bookcase for Christmas one year. And I suppose on some level, having the bookcase was kind of impetus for me to want to fill it with what should fill a bookcase. So yeah, and then in the intervening years, I mean, we just, I myself would get additional bookcases, and then when Kelly and I got together, I mean, we I don't know how many bookcases. Kelly brought that one to the marriage, that one, and then we bought, I probably had two of these, I would say. No, I might have only actually had the one bookcase when I was in college. And then, wow, that means we've accrued a lot of books in the last 15 years, because there are a lot of bookcases in this room. So anyway, I'm rambling now. 3, take a mental step back and ask yourself, what is the most likely first bookish impression a newcomer would have in your home? So, our library is downstairs, and unless the person goes downstairs, they're not going to know that there are 1,000 books in the house. However, they're going to see books on our coffee table and on our bar, and they're not just books kind of laying around for decoration's sake, which I've seen in other people's homes. And I always find that funny, right? Because they're titles like James Patterson and stuff like this, and they're clearly laid out to impress people, and yeah, and it's not to be snobbish about it or anything, but I think even James Patterson fans would agree that James Patterson books are not really the kinds of books you lay out if you want to impress people, to make people think that you're a serious reader. So anyway, read comment, right? The Plath biography. This is what I read. I'm still reading. I'm halfway through it, almost halfway through it, for March of the Mammoths this year. But somebody visiting our home would see books like this on the coffee table that have a bookmark in them, that have tons and tons of Post-it notes. And I think that they would remark on that. They would realize that this is a home of readers who are looking for things in books and paying really close attention to what they're reading and notating things that they want to remember. Let's see. Number 4, how often, if ever, gulp, do you clean or reorganize your books? Probably dust the books once every couple of years or something like that. But as far as cleaning, I'm not sure why they would need cleaning. I mean, some of these books I've owned for, how old am I now? Some of these books I've owned for almost 30 years, and I've never cleaned them, and they seem to be doing just fine. So that would be the answer to that, I suppose. As far as reorganizing, we recently took the poetry books from on top of that bookcase over there and put them in this bookcase, and the religion books had been in this bookcase, and we put the religion books in the glass-doored bookcase over there. So that's really the only reorganizing that we've done in a long, long time. And then as far as, anything else, it's just as we get new books, right? I mean, we just find spots for them on the shelves and move everything down, and I really like doing that, rearranging books. I'm a big fan of that. I like touching my books. Let's see, number 5. On average, how many books do you acquire in a given week? I would say on average over the course of a year that I only probably acquire on average a book every 2 weeks, I would say. Every 2 to 3 weeks, which yeah isn't as many as I would like. But again, like I said, we try to keep our collection around the same number all the time. Number 6, what song is your current earworm? So I had a different earworm last week when I was watching a lot of versions of this video, but this morning I woke up with a song stuck in my head, and it's been kind of rotating through my brain, and that is what is it? I think it's called "Tonight I Fly" by Impellitteri, which was, I think Impellitteri is still around. I don't listen to any of their music from the last God knows how many years, but they had an album called "Stand in Line" that I really really loved as a teenager, and just bought it here in the last couple of years. Finally found it on CD, and it's a reprint, I think, but it'd be nice to have the original, which I think was on Relativity Records. But yeah, it's a great album, and that song "Tonight I Fly" has been stuck in my head today. So I will try to find it on YouTube and leave a link to it below in case anyone's curious. Let's see. Number 7, what percentage of your self-control do you retain in a well-stocked bookshop? Quite a lot, actually. Yeah, I mean, let's see. I got little messages on my iPad here. Unless I've got a lot of money to spend, whether it be at a gift card or $100 or something like this, expressly to spend on books. That can be a lot of fun. Self-control goes completely out the window in that case. But I mean, if we go to a bookstore and even spend a good hour browsing around or something like this, I'll rarely. There might be 7 books or something that I find that I want, but I'll rarely buy more than a couple of them. So yeah, I feel like my self-control is pretty good in a well-stocked bookshop. One thing I will do actually in a bookshop is I will open up the Goodreads app on my phone and do the scan barcode function, because oftentimes I'll see so many things I've never heard of that sound interesting, and I can't possibly buy them all. And so I will scan them into my Goodreads app and put them on my TBR. So that way at least I have some record of what they were, and I'm not trying to remember all of these titles, get out to the car and write them down. So the Goodreads app is really handy for that. Number 8, do you ever feel the need to take a break from books? If so, what form does it take? I never feel the need to consciously take a break from books, but over the last year and a half during the time of the pandemic, I had a lot of trouble reading last year, and I was hoping that would go away this year, and it has to a degree, but I'm still having a lot of difficulty reading and focusing on reading, because my mind is just so, like everybody else, my mind is just so preoccupied with so much else in the world. I'm reading less, right? And so it's not necessarily a break from books, but my brain needs something more often than not these days that is just, it doesn't need to be as engaged as a book will often require of it. And so I'll pop in a movie, or I'll watch a couple episodes of BoJack Horseman or something like this, and I think it's these things are scratching that itch that reading is for me, but yeah, they're demanding less, I suppose, of my attention and my intellect and my energy than reading does. Number 9, when you meet a new person, how long does it take you to bring up books? I bring up books with everyone I meet, whether it is a new client, whether it is somebody that I meet at church, or whether it's somebody I'm sitting next to at a concert or something like this. I will always find a way to work books into the conversation. And, because even if someone isn't a reader, they read some, right? And when I was a bookseller, one of my favorite things to do was to find, and granted, if you have customers in a bookstore, they're there because they're readers. But I love finding little things out about people and making them aware of a book that might be in their wheelhouse or that might be up their alley somehow that they might not have been aware of. I just take a lot of joy from that, a lot of pleasure in that. So I'm kind of always looking for opportunities to do that, and you can't do that unless you bring up books with people. Number 10, have you given any thought or made any provisions for your personal library after you croak? Not really. I mean, we have our wills made out and whatnot, and I think that, I probably have a few books that are going to specific people. Same with films that we own. And I don't know. There might be something in the will about that. It's been so many years since we've done it. But I think I would, I think that I would want them, they would go to Kelly, right? And unless Kelly and I both shuffled off this mortal coil at the same time, like in a plane crash or something. Otherwise, they would be Kelly's. And, and if, like I said, if we both went at the same time, I don't know. I mean, I would hope that my brother would take them. I'm sure my brother would likely take them. Fingers crossed. That's really something to think about, though. We don't, as human beings, just in general, don't think about this kind of stuff as much as they should. So this is a good goad to put more thought into that. Thank you, Steve. And then the last prompt, number 11, are you known among your friends and loved ones for your weird and probably unhealthy relationship with books? Yeah, I suppose so. I wouldn't say that my relationship with books is weird, though. As far as that goes, I'm more known, I think, among friends and relatives for my weird and unhealthy relationship with words. So I will probably once or twice a year just go on a tear on Facebook, just a rant about the common usage of this particular word or that particular word that I don't think of as words, and I want them excised from the lexicon. Unhaul. I hate the word unhaul, but more than unhaul. I mean, because that's just something that's really unique to BookTube. But as far as words that I hear a lot that just rub me the wrong fucking way are relatable, and people saying addicting instead of addictive. Although I don't hear that as much here lately. And then there are a few others that are slipping my mind right off the top of my head. But relatable is and then when people say something is based off instead of based on. I don't know where this came from, but it really rankles me. And so I think that I'm probably more known for my weird and unhealthy relationship with words that I deem not words, rather than with books. And I know my brother in particular gets a real kick out of those rants of mine on Facebook about language. He thinks it's crazy that this is the kind of shit that takes up space in my brain. But anyway, so that's my version of the tag. I hope you guys enjoyed it to some degree. If the tag sounds fun to you, I would encourage you to do it, because not only am I having a lot of fun watching versions of this, but I think a lot of people are. So throw your hat in the ring and let us know a little bit about you. And that's it, I suppose. I will be back hopefully very soon. Adios.